Welcome back to a new episode of Video Talk with Elena. Today I'm just by myself, and I would like to talk to you about photography and videos. Photography and videos have a lot of things in common, especially about storytelling. When you photograph for a story or for a documentary, you have to take a lot of photographs. One photograph must say it all. You have to find the whole meaning in that photograph. With a video instead, you can say the same thing with a scene. But they have things in common. That means you have to take care of all the aspects: mood, quality of photograph, composition, lighting, using of the lens, and obviously the meaning, what you want to say, what you want to communicate through the photos or through the video. And for the photos, what you really need to look for is the moment. Not one moment, but the moment. The moment that Enrique Cartier-Bresson called the decisive moment. That means only that moment can tell you the story. So that's why photographers take a lot of photographs, a lot of pictures in order to choose the best ones to make the story. With a video instead, you can go on and describe with all scenes the story that you want to say. Another thing to talk about is motion. In photography, still photography, generally the shots are still. But there are some photographers who really like to show the motion, the length of an action. With videography, it's easier in the sense that you keep shooting and the scenes, the action and the movement show itself. And I'm sure that a lot of people understand what I'm talking about. In photography, you have to make it happen. You have to show the motion using a certain type of techniques. I use motion in some of my photographs because I wanted to portray what that action meant. And with videography, I really have a lot of fun, a lot of fun in showing motion. Because they meant a lot to me. Not only for the place or the people, but also for the moments that I was there, living with those people, and understanding their feelings, their passions, or their sorrows, their pain. And you will never forget those, even if you take photographs or even if you take videos. So I hope you will enjoy my few images, that some of them have been published in books, newspapers or magazines when I used to work as a photographer, and some are still part of my collections. So in the second part, you will see the videos. Photography, and also videography, is a means to see the world. It's like a window to see the world through it. And with my camera and videos, I can show what I see. Photography is indeed a way to communicate. Photographers, in fact, must have a sense of adventure to explore unusual places, and I want to see those places with my own eyes. So I capture what I believe to be unforgettable moments printed in my memory. To photograph children in their own environment is an amazing experience. They just naturally are. They bring life and light into the viewfinder in every place. It's a never-ending trip into the knowledge of human spirit. But photography is also an unforgiving media. It shows the crude, vulnerable, and horrifying reality of life. To be a photographer or videographer in remote areas, one must be adaptable to all situations and conditions. I'm a professional photojournalist since 2000, and it gave me the opportunity to be also on disaster sites and to witness reality under different circumstances. In this episode, you'll see some of my published work and photos I took during Mary Ellen's Mark workshop in Oaxaca. Some photos I took after the tsunami in Indonesia and Thailand, and some images of India and Kashmir, where I went during 7 Photos Agency workshop. Rodeos are interesting events that offer many opportunities for photography. They were once based on the skills required of the working vaqueros and later cowboys. But because of their practices, rodeos have provoked the opposition from animal rights and animal welfare organizations. They argue that various competitions constitute animal cruelty. Internationally, in fact, rodeos are banned in the United Kingdom and in the Netherlands, and in European nations that place restrictions on certain practices. A circus, with its performers, clowns, acrobats, trained animals, trapeze acts, musicians, dancers, hoopers, tightrope walkers, jugglers, is an amazing opportunity for photography. A skilled equestrian, Philip Astley, is credited for being the father of the modern circus. He opened the first circus in 1768 in England. Since animal welfare groups documented many cases of animal cruelty in the training of performing animals, contemporary circus has introduced shows almost exclusively based on human performing skills. In the United States, Animal Welfare Act does not permit any sort of punishment that puts the animals in discomfort. What is interesting of Cuba is the diversity of its population, its origins, its history, its culture, its tradition, but above all, the beauty of the island and the mix of its belief. Cuba is a wonderful place for photography. The religious environment of Cuba is also defined by a variety of beliefs, and Christianity is often practiced with Santeria, that is a mixture of Catholicism and African faith, which include a number of cults and a number of dances. San Lazarus Sanctuary hosts each year thousands of pilgrims. Cubans are very well-educated people. Cuba's literacy rate, in fact, is the second highest in the world. The educational system is anchored by 47 universities and 23 medical schools. Education is subsidized for all Cuban people regardless of income, and they can choose public universities or centers of higher education, including polytechnic institutes. Children are children like everywhere else, and when they're older, they like boxing. What can I say about Native Americans? I went to some reservation to photograph and interview them for my thesis. I deeply cherish those moments. It has been an incredible experience to be able to witness their life and their culture. Thousand books have been written about Native Americans. Hundreds movies have been filmed. I think it's time to thank them. I went a lot of times to Mexico, and once I attended Mary Ellen Mark's workshop in Oaxaca. Mary Ellen Mark was and still is an amazing woman, one of the most renowned documentary photographer and videographer in the world. Why Oaxaca? Because the majority of the indigenous population is concentrated in the central, southern, and southeastern states, with the majority of them living in rural areas. It is also a tribute to Alvarez Bravo and Frida Kahlo. Some communities have a degree of autonomy to regulate some internal issues under customary law of usos y costumbres. The greatest percentage of indigenous population are in Yucatan, 62%, Quintana Roo, Campeche with a 32%, and mostly are descent of Maya. In Oaxaca, the 58% of the population are indigenous people, and the most numerous groups are the Mixtec and the Zapotec people. The culture of Mexicans is influenced by their familiar ties, location, religion, and gender. And in many ways, their contemporary life in the cities is similar to that in the neighboring United States and Europe. So if one person wants to know about their culture and costume, must travel toward the rural people who conserve tradition more so than the city dwellers. How fun is to walk around in their daily markets or weekly markets. So many colors, so many people, so many traditions, and everywhere you look, there is always something interesting to photograph. This is an experience I will never forget. On December 2004, Indonesia was the first country to be deeply and seriously affected by the ocean earthquake and tsunami waves of more than 25 meters high. It was one of the biggest natural disasters in history. Temporary shelters were organized in scattered refugee camps. Photojournalists were flying there like flocks. I decided to go too. I bought a ticket, and when I arrived in Banda Aceh, I remember I was scared. There was nothing left, as if a nuclear bomb had devastated the country. I decided to stay. I went to a temporary media center, and I found a place to sleep. Not too many buildings were still standing. The landscape was distressing and harrowing. I went to India a few times. I think it's just an incredible place. They have an incredible literature characterized by a variety and a wide spectrum of thought and expression. India prominent works are written in Sanskrit. Indian music and dances range over various traditions and regional styles, but the most important tradition is still nowadays a wedding. And in some parts of India, some people work for $1 a day. Theater in India is often based on Hindu mythology. It melds music, dance, and improvised or written dialogues. But today, television is the most popular media in India. Television and cinema in India produce one of the world's most watched movies. It's an impressive country, with its ancient mythology, religions and beliefs, its costume, its wonderful colors, and its lovely sacred cows that I pet walking on the streets.
इसका नाम है भोसड़ा घाट यू घाट भोसड़ा घाट यू दिस बंसी by this side बंसी by you Krishna Ganga
60 euro, 60! Oh yeah! Signori! Oh che ultimo, 55 guarda!
No matter where people live in the world, they can take wonderful photos even outside their own doorsteps. There are thousands of opportunities for photography and videography. Landscapes with mountains, hills, lakes, riverside, seasides in the fall, winter, spring, and summertime. Nature is always there with its wonderful colors and shapes. Even buildings with their history and their architecture styles are extraordinary subjects for photography and video. The original name of Los Angeles is long and resonant almost to portray its future destiny. Founded by Spanish people as El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora la Reina de Los Angeles del Río de la Porciúncula de Asís, has become an economic, scientific, and entertainment center of international importance. LA is well known for its wall art. Rivera, Siqueiros, and Orozco created murals in this area. Easy to get around to reach each corner of LA and vicinity by bus or metro, and to spend a day on a boardwalk or on the beach from Santa Monica to Venice Beach. It's the dream of the most of the youngest tourists. Municipality of LA, including the vast urban areas around it, constitutes the second in USA after New York. In LA live ethnic communities of over 140 countries, and people speak at least 224 different languages. In our future, we might not see all this beautiful underwater world. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the causes are numerous and overlapping, and all to be blamed. Fukushima, unleashing radiation into the ocean, the effect of modern chemicals and agricultural waste, and water warming. Marine mammals, seabirds, and fish are starving as a result. Thousands of sea lions pups are stranded on the beaches of California due to the unusually warm ocean waters. The warm water is likely pushing prime sea lions' food further north, forcing the mothers to abandon their babies with hard consequences.
A shift of wildlife populations, decimating species, proves how fragile is the balance of life in the ocean. The damage to the ocean includes the death of millions of starfish. In fact, starfish are dying along the whole west coast, with the possibility of extinction of some species. Farm waste of fertilizer and pesticides create oxygen-starved dead zone, and fish farms introduce a large volume of antibiotics and chemical pollution into the Pacific Ocean. Oil spill and petroleum exposure decimated bottlenose dolphins. High levels of cesium-137 due to Fukushima toxic waste have been found between Hawaii and California. The beauty of California does not consist in its artifacts, its buildings, or Silicon Valley. The real beauty of California is its own original environment, the hills, the desert, the mountains, the valleys, and above all that, the majestic coastal nature and the ocean. These images do not need my voiceover. Enjoy the beauty, as long as we can. Hello, my sweet stingray. Thank you for twirling in front of me. Ciao, ciao. From the ocean blue to the turquoise blue of Olivera Street. It is the heart of Mexican culture in Los Angeles. It's an open door to a multi-sensory experience and all art scenes. It's packed with restaurants, shops, musicians, and artists, and artisans selling imports from Mexico, from piñatas to candles, blankets and clothing, hats and pottery. There are musicians playing ethnic music in nearby plaza and people dancing on Saturday and Sunday. Los Angeles' first Chinatown was raised to make space for Union Station. The Los Angeles Chinatown that we see today is not the original Chinatown, but it is the combination of the ancient ambience blending with modernity. Chinatown's characteristics are certainly due to the Chinese, but more recently, Southeast Asian are part of its growth and history. The majority of the residents in this area are Chinese. In fact, Chinatown is home to over 25,000 people. It's a cultural center and one of LA's most popular tourist destinations. Tourists come here often in search of culture, history, and Chinese food. People say Los Angeles is the place where all your dreams become true. From the West Coast to the East Coast, to South Beach in Miami, with its soft powder, light shell-colored sand and Caribbean sea blue, the Miami Sea Blue. This town is one of a kind, an historic gem, very eclectic for its unique architecture. Its beach lifestyle attracts thousands of young tourists from all over the world each year. Miami is also home to one of the oldest buildings in the western side of the world, and it hosts one of the most impressive collections of Art Deco architecture in the United States. Miami South Beach is also famous for its Art Deco historic district. Not too far from it is Little Havana, with its Cuban flavor of homes, shops, cafes, theaters, and lifestyle. Miami is a blending of different architectures. From the ancient Spanish monastery built in Segovia, Spain in 1141, dismantled and shipped to the United States, to the sleek design of contemporary hotels. Miami's colors vary from Caribbean sea blue to the red flame-painted sky at sunset and golden shimmering reflection on buildings at dusk. To go around in Miami is quite easy by bus or Metrolink.